and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari keeps Petroleum Ministry, assigns other portfolios to ministers. Babatunde Fashola heads Power, Works and Housing, Lai Mohammed Information, Chibuike Amechi for Transportation, and Kemi Adeosun assigned Ministry of Finance. Now, President Buhari reduces the number of ministries to 25. And Myanmar President Thein Sein congratulates Aung San Suu Kyi's opposition party on its success at the polls. And on business news tonight, former investment banker Kemi Adeosun is Nigeria's new finance minister.
And on sports news, Victoria's Golden Eaglets get heroes reception following a successful campaign at the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Chile, where they emerged champions.
Six months after resuming office as President of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari today administered oath of office on 36 ministers and assigned portfolios to them. The president assigned to himself the Ministry of Petroleum Resources and pruned the number of ministries to 25. The former governor of Lagos was assigned the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, while his former colleague Kayode Fayemi in Ekiti State was assigned Solid Minerals. Budget and Planning was assigned to Senator Udo Udoma, and Finance went to former Commissioner of Finance in Ogun State, Kemi Adeosun. The event took place at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Our State House correspondent Chukuma Onekwuse reports.
For over 2 hours, President Buhari watched as his ministers file out in 9 batches of 4 each to get the oaths administered on them. At the last count, 36 of them are to man 24 ministries, following his promise to cut down the number of ministries due to cash crunch in the country. As if to answer critiques, the president said he and his vice president have been mindful of the need to constitute a cabinet that will deliver their expectations for a better country than they met. He is optimistic that the expectations will not be cut short.
Since we assumed office in May, I have been mindful of the need to ensure that the appointment of new ministers translates into putting round pegs in round holes while showing sensitivity to our diversity as a people and our various positions as groups of stakeholders of our country. I have also been conscious of the need not to repeat such mistakes of the past where the right people were allocated the wrong portfolios, which translated into their performance poorly to our collective detriment despite their obvious capabilities.
The president said he is more determined to diversify using agriculture and solid minerals, as well as generate employment for youth and ensure security for the citizens.
We intend to pursue policies that will generate massive employment for millions of our youth. We shall also continue with greater determination and focus to pursue our goals of ensuring improved security for our country and its citizens, and without letting up on our fight against corruption.
The president announced a reduction in the number of ministries and reels out the portfolios. He is happy that confidence is slowly returning into governance, calling on the new ministers to work steadily to justify the confidence reposed on them.
Our new ministers must proceed to work speedily and do their uttermost to justify the confidence we have placed in them, not only by their conduct, but also by their performance in their various positions. Regardless of the present challenges we are confronting, I believe all Nigerians will keep hope alive and sustain their optimism about the future of our economic well-being. The ministers have been rationalized and reduced 24.
The president and his team have since gone into the first Federal Executive Council meeting immediately after the inauguration, perhaps a confirmation of their determination to hit the ground running, more determined than Nigerians have ever seen. Chukuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
Well, from all indications, managing the new ministries will not be an easy task, but ministers are upbeat about the challenges ahead. In our next report, our political correspondent Seun Okinbaloye takes a look at the huge task facing the ministers and the growing expectation from Nigerians.
Speaking here is the substantive minister of petroleum resources.
Your guess on who heads the petroleum ministry is as good as mine, considering that the president has earlier hinted that he will take charge. Many have thought some ministers will be without portfolios, but it turns out that everyone has a ministry to man. One man many people speculated will have a big role to play as a former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola, but not in the light of what he has. Power, works and housing. Some of the major challenges confronting the nation lie under these offices. Giving Fashola these responsibilities perhaps indicate the level of trust President Buhari has in him. With a house in deficit of about 17 million units and an unencouraging power supply fluctuating in the region of 4,000 megawatts, coupled with the sorry state of millions of kilometers of Nigerian roads, Mr. Fashola will perhaps model sleep to be able to achieve the huge expectations now put on his shoulders.
The president also has always said that the cost of governance must be reduced. And I think what we have done is that we have a lean team, a compact lean team, but which will also be as efficient.
Another key role which perhaps took many as a surprise is the one given to a former governor of Rivers State, Mr. Chibike Amechi, whose appointment raised a lot of controversy. He will be in charge of the transport ministry. With the aim of the APC to focus mainly on diversifying the nation's economy from its mainstay oil, solid mineral ministry to be handled by former Ekiti Governor Kayode Fayemi, and the agric ministry put on the laps of Chief Audu Ogbe will have their work cut out for them.
He was a lecturer at the Ahmadu Bello University.
If we want to really build this economy and reduce our focus on oil, solid minerals is clearly one of the key areas to veer into.
Clearly, the former governors are going to be major players in the newly constituted government. APC in its manifesto has promised Nigerians that it will provide 3 million jobs annually. Senator Chris Ngige, who is saddled with the office of Labour and Employment, will make sure its party does not fail Nigerians in delivering under 3 million new jobs a year as promised.
Before joining politics with
It is no doubt the nation's economy is in a mess. Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, a former commissioner for finance in Ogun State, will have to team up effectively with Senator Udo Udoma, who is appointed to head the National Planning Ministry, which now has budgeting attached to it.
1978.
Expectations are high and all eyes are now on the team, but it appears some of them are upbeat about the way to go. The ministry is restructured, everyone with a role to play. Certainly the honeymoon period is over. President Muhammadu Buhari himself realizes that speed must be applied now to make Nigerians smile again.
We want to work towards
Seun Okinbaloye, Channels Television News.
Well, some of the newly appointed ministers have hit the ground running as they headed to their offices and held meetings with top officials at the ministries. They expressed their determination to ensure the vision of change of the APC and the president are fulfilled. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. Ibe Kachukwu, arrives at familiar terrain following his inauguration. Before his appointment as a minister, he was the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Mr. Kachukwu was received by top officials of the ministry, led by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Jamila Shwara, and other officials of the NNPC. Addressing the officials, the minister announced the policy direction of the federal government in the petroleum sector.
We're going to calibrate performance on the basis of lost time I do not want any station or any day in this country passing in which every citizen of this country does not have the fuel that they need or that they carry that they need, and we're doing a whole holistic look at how we buy, how we distribute, and what our spontaneous reaction scientists with emergencies. So I can assure you that the queues you see, if they are still there, by the end of today, will be out by the end of the day tomorrow. We're walking around the clock, and I'm getting almost an hourly brief on this.
At a separate event, the Ministers for Agriculture and Rural Development also resumed office, where they met officials of the ministry. The ministers revealed that the federal government will build on the success of the previous administration in the sector.
Continue along the lines of the policies of the minister who left here. Extend services to farmers, try and provide them credit, do the GES scheme and continue with it, but with some corrections where there were little difficulties, like the quality of fertilizer and seed which went out. In many cases, some of the seeds were very, very low quality, packaged and passed off as good. But now emphasizing export. We've got to earn foreign exchange for this country like we did before.
Following the inauguration, the ministers are expected to hit the ground running to deliver the dividends of democracy.
In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party has charged the incoming cabinet of the All Progressives Congress to quickly settle down and focus on fixing the economy. The National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Ulisa Metu, said the present administration has so far played heavily on dramatizing routine procedure and processes. He says this was glaring in the prolonged swearing-in ceremony of the ministers. Mr. Metu said the much-expected assignment of portfolios to the ministers does not inspire confidence in the change mantra being introduced into the political system. In part two, after the break, Nigerians commend President Buhari's wisdom in assigning ministries. I'll be joined by a professor of international law and jurisprudence, Professor Akin Oyebode, who joins us again.